myself to compete for that, the high school seniors in our schools were asked to write an essay on the freedom and patriotism, exactly what it means to them, as well as what does Memorial Day mean. And I wanted to ask, I did ask the recipient before if I could read some of that to you, and she said it's okay. Freedom and patriotism are fundamentals that I have been raised on, and Memorial Day is quite a respected day in my household. Perhaps having a retired Army officer as a father is what has greatly influenced these beliefs. Freedom from students that are now graduating from high school, that means freedom from parents, freedom from homework, freedom that comes with college. But she writes, but these personal freedoms are not to be taken for granted. Education, security, prosperity, all are freedoms that were paid for with a high price. Freedom isn't free, and many soldiers have lost their lives in order to create and support the freedoms of the American dream. Unfortunately, thankfulness was not an attribute that was passed to my generation as a whole. I share my beliefs on freedom in the military with my peers often. My strong opinions sometimes lead to altercations with my peers. I distinctly remember my first encounter arguing with someone my own age about freedom. I was 5 years old in Mrs. Allmiller's kindergarten class. There was a special day called Donuts with Dad, an event in which all fathers of students were encouraged to attend. My father had recently been activated again, and I was the only student in the class bringing my mother to the donut affair. A fellow classmate named Austin turned to me and smirked and began taunting me for bringing me my mother instead of my father. Before my mother or any teacher could intervene, I smacked his arm and said, "You stupid boy, my father is a hero and he's fighting for your freedom." Good for her. That was nothing. Freedom exists only because of the dedication of the soldiers that defend it, supporting our military, no matter what individual political party, religion, age, gender, or socioeconomic class an American citizen might be. This value has a name. Patriotism, like views of freedom, is another value lacked by many teenagers. Citizens of our nations must be proud of our troops, be willing to fight and support those fighting, and willing to teach generations the lessons of our past. As a teenager, I am honestly worried about the future of our country due to the apathy of young people. Many do not even care to learn about patriotism. I'm doing all that I can to promote patriotism among young people, telling my personal story to my friends and hoping that it has a slight impact on them. There are so many opportunities to get involved with the military and other support organizations in college. For me, patriotism runs deep in my blood. The granddaughter of a retired Army pilot and the daughter of a retired Green Beret. I've been raised to appreciate the founders and leaders in the military. Patriotism to me was saying goodbye to my daddy at airports, not knowing if I would ever see him again. Patriotism was helping my father recover from 2 knee surgeries after a life-threatening parachute injury. Patriotism is having a younger brother with a disfigured arm because my father was exposed to such great deal of radiation during his time working with nuclear weapons. Patriotism was never being able to attend a daddy-daughter dance because my father was away serving our country. Patriotism was seeing my mother cry on September 11th, 2001, in fear that my father would again be deployed. Patriotism was burying my 18-year-old cousin who had just joined the Air Force. patriotism was the flag on his casket. Patriotic is so much more than flying an American flag and shooting off fireworks on the 4th of July. It is a way of life. It is a way of life that hopefully I can share with other high school seniors, but also with members of my community. Senior year is such an important time for teenagers to discover more about themselves and also who they will be in the future. If the teens can all grasp the concept of freedom and patriotism to their maximum extent, then the lessons have been learned and instilled in them. Being young is a great opportunity to make a difference. That can be done by spreading the awareness about patriotism and freedom, and also about a forgotten holiday, Memorial Day. Memorial Day is a holiday that's a day that's spent out on the lake at neighborhood cookouts, annual beach trips. This is a special day set aside to honor the fallen heroes that have died for our country. In my opinion, that is the part that is too often left out of festivities. I'm blessed to have the freedom not only to be educated on the same level as males in public schools, contrary to what other countries have, but also competitively compete in the career world post-graduation. None of this would have been possible without the heroes that have served and fought in every situation in our country since its foundation in July 4, 1776. If it were not for these brave men and women, we would not live in the greatest country known to man. Memorial Day is a special day to high school graduates because upon graduation, we are entering the world as an adult. Throughout the history, many young men at that age, as high school graduates, have fought and died for our freedoms. Upon graduation, once becoming of age, any of the young men could theoretically, and I will also include women, could theoretically be drafted into fighting for our country. Memorial Day can be an eye-opening day to remember and thank the heroes of the past, while at the same time preparing for what comes in the future. It is my great pleasure not only to award the scholarship, but amongst all the entries for this scholarship, amongst all of them, there were a lot, one of you students garnered the first place in the essay contest. Madison Turner, please come forward. Good news, the scholarship is for $1,000.